There was a massive oil spill near Santa Barbara, California, and tens of thousands of gallons of oil did spill into the ocean at Refugio Beach. Now we have pictures of the spill, and you can see how devastating it looks. Although Plains All-American Pipeline, which owned the pipeline that leaked into the ocean, claims that they're doing everything they can to clean everything up and that they are going to take full responsibility of what occurred. I mean, this is disastrous. Santa Barbara is beautiful. The beaches there are beautiful. Think about the marine life that's going to suffer as a result of this. Think about how much the environment suffers as a result of this. It's just disgusting. Now, the mess was created after a 24-inch pipe ruptured onshore, sending thousands of gallons of oil down a storm drain and into the ocean before officials were able to shut it off. By then, the U.S. Coast Guard estimated 21,000 gallons of oil had spilled. But it wasn't just 21,000 gallons of oil. In all, the pipeline company estimated that 105,000 gallons of crude oil were released into the open.
What I don't understand is that 21,000 spilled, but 105,000 were released. Like, what are we, like, that's spilled.
Yeah.
I mean, you released it on purpose? Like, that's the total.
Yep.
That's what it is. So, you know, and Mark and I, one of my close friends from grad school, is the vice president and chief spokesman for BP.
Oh, interesting.
And he worked.
That's not an easy job to do.
No, it's a really hard job. He's a really smart guy. He was a reporter. He worked for ABC, and then he worked for the Defense Department. He worked for Robert Gates. He was the spokesman for the Defense Department for Gates under Bush, and then under Obama also, and then went to BP, and he was making an argument that if the biggest complaint that wasn't really making, I just overheard a conversation, but he was saying that the biggest environmental complaint they're getting now is BP shouldn't be taking credit for the cleanup because it's too early to tell. And I thought, well, that's a fair point. Like, if that's the best they got is that it's too early to tell, then they may have done a nice job cleaning it up. And I have no doubt that they have meaningfully tried, because that's the only PR solution that works for BP is a genuine, meaningful effort to clean up a catastrophic after the Deepwater Horizon spill. But Mark says, you know, to watch this documentary, this name escapes me right now, but like that the cleanup, it's not so much that the cleanup didn't go well, it's that the damage done by the spill was so extensive, and that their effort to break the oil up afterwards so it would sink to the bottom with the dispersals created such a long-lasting bit of devastation to that area that essentially it's permanent. And you can't clean it up. It's on the bottom. It's resting on the bottom. You got it off the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these spills are horrible. They're terrible. And it remains, you know, and we're not going to know for generations, perhaps, the extent of the damage done to wildlife and to fishing, and the ability for us to, you know, eat fish from there and for people to earn their livings. And, you know, obviously it may not be as this area, I'm going to guess, is not as devastating to an entire state, let alone a region, as the spill in Louisiana was, because the fishing and is such a vital part of the tourism trade.
And also that
probably not the same
spill
here.
went on for days.
That spill went on,
days. In this case, they were able to stop the pipeline as soon as they realized that there were some abnormalities with it. But the thing is, yes, it's devastating. But aside from needing to focus more on renewable energies that aren't going to destroy our environment, you also have to consider the fact that this is an industry that's severely under-regulated, okay? So the LA Times did this really great piece on this particular spill. They looked at data regarding their infractions, okay? And they were guilty of so much in terms of, you know, the way that they were running their business, lots of wrongdoing. I'll give you some examples. Plains Pipeline, the large Texas-based company responsible for the pipe that ruptured in Santa Barbara County, has accumulated 175 safety and maintenance infractions since 2006, according to federal records. A LA Times, analysis of data from the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration shows Plains' rate of incidents per mile of pipe is more than 3 times the national average. Among more than 1,700 pipeline operators listed in a database maintained by the federal agency, only 4 companies reported more infractions than Plains Pipeline. It reported $43 billion in revenue in 2014 and $878 million in profit. But when you look at some of the issues that they've had problems with pump failure, equipment malfunction, pipe corrosion, operator error. I mean, lots of issues that could have been dealt with. I'm positive that this spill could have been prevented, but it's just an unregulated, I shouldn't say unregulated, underregulated industry. Oil companies get away with so much. And how many oil spills are we going to have before we actually pass regulations that protect the environment and prevent these types of spills?